Hi everyone, Zach here for cgboost.com with another art critique live stream. This time for our challenge Underwater World. And I'm joined here by these beautiful people, the CG Boost team. We have Marsha here with my finger there. We have Martin, say hi.
Hello.
We have Egon,
Hello, everybody.
Daniel,
Hello.
and our special guest, Grant Abbott. Yay.
Hello.
Yeah, Grant, if you don't know him, I guess everybody knows Grant, right? He has a pretty nice Blender tutorial YouTube channel here. You can click on the name down below in the video description to check out his channel. And today we will review some of your submissions from this Underwater World challenge. And yeah, I think we can jump right in. Just so that you know, we will start with some random picked artworks from the training arena, and after that from the pro arena. And at the end of the stream, we will also go through the winners and highlights of these two arenas. So if you don't know, we have basically two categories for this challenge: the pro arena for all the more advanced people, and the training arena for everyone just starting out. So, okay.
By the way, Grant, people demand that you key out your green screen.
All right. Let's open up this nice little tool here. We tried something new today. And this first artwork, let me check if I find the name. It's from this guy here. I don't try to pronounce the names because I really suck at this. So this artwork was submitted to the training arena. And yeah, I think let's start with our special guest on this sunny island, Grant. Oh no, not.
Well, it's a nice composition. I like the fact that the head is on the top third, and we've got the sort of rule of thirds going on there. But I feel like it's a little bit bright at the front, and the main focus ought to be the shark. So I would have liked to have seen more lighting on the shark, personally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything you want to draw in?
So I suppose I could highlight that area. Oh, hang on. Oh, did that work? No, we're getting there. Yep, there we go. So this, so lights coming down from here. We've got a little bit here, haven't we? But we've got so much in this area and this area and this area. It's a little bit distracting, I would say. And we really want our focus over here. I better rub all that out now.
Yeah, so basically the front area is so bright that it's taking like most of the attention, right?
Yes.
Okay, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And also, it's extremely empty. I feel like. I mean, I know it's a training piece, and this person's probably pretty new to it, but something like out the back, like oh no, there we go. Some sort of I don't know, some sort of distant sort of landscape kind of thing, maybe just to make it feel like it doesn't just sort of end at the end of this hill thing here. Would probably be a nice touch. And just like the I'm having a bit of trouble reading. I think that's a fish, but it's just the way it's lit and the direction it's in. It looks a bit. It's hard to sort of see what I'm looking at. So yeah, I think those two things mainly.
Mm-hmm. Martin?
Well, usually with these sorts of simple environment or like basic environments, I assume the author is starting with 3D, and it's mostly about layering details. So the more time you take to layer and add new detail to the artwork, the better it usually gets. And I think, just as Daniel mentioned, more detail would definitely suit this artwork. There is some shading error here that keeps drawing my eye, and yeah, here. So definitely learning or trying smooth shading in Blender, or I'm not sure which application this was made in, but watch out for errors like these with the shading. They really tend to draw the eye. But there is chromatic aberration here on the sides.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a nice plus. But watch out for this, like adding post effects. Too many post effects when your artwork doesn't have enough detail is usually not that good an idea. So definitely first add in your detail.
Marsha, anything to add?
Yeah, I would maybe try to work a bit more on the creature, and maybe try to start with maybe a real creature. Like this looks really fantasy to me. And even if you are doing a fantasy creature, it's good to base your creature on something that already exists. So you have something to watch at and use it as reference to make like a believable, to give your creature a believable shape from the body point of view. Yeah, and also it could be nice to add some other creatures and elements that have like the scale we humans know how it is, to understand how big this creature is, because it's not really clear in this image for me. Yeah.
And Egon?
Well, pretty much everything has been said. For me, I'm just lacking a little bit of water feeling there. Maybe some bluish tones to give us the idea that it's not floating in the air. Maybe some bubbles coming out of the bottom. Just those small details which will make the scene more believable.
Yeah. And one tiny thing I would add here, by the way, I'm the white cursor here. The whale, I guess it's a whale. The silhouette is pretty hard to read. So everything is like in front here, and it's like one big weird shape. So maybe adding the shapes more like this, so that if the whale would be completely black, you can more easily like distinguish all the different shapes here, would be one thing. And of course, like minor details, like I guess adding some eyelids here, maybe more fun teeth here at the top would be interesting as well. And I think this big blue mushrooms are also a bit distracting. I would probably scale them down a little bit and maybe move them more to the side here, so they are not like completely in the way. And yeah, this is pretty much it for this artwork. Of course, there's a lot of room for improvement, but I think it's a good starting point here. So yeah, that's for this artwork. So let's try if I get this right here. So let's drag in the second artwork, which was created by this person, and I don't pronounce the name.
Catia.
Gotcha.
Chibi. Maybe.
Exactly. Maybe. So, who want to start now? Maybe we just go the same again. So, Grant, you start first.
Yeah, what I like about this one is that there's definitely a focal point. So we're certainly drawn to this area here. And it's nice with that particular light coming down, and then we see this plane image here, which is great. But once again, we not quite as bad as the previous one, but we are then drawn to this area here, which I'm not sure if that should be such a focus. It's quite bright. So again, it's a matter of the contrast. This should be, I think, a little bit grayer or less saturated perhaps, and we then focus on this area over here, which are highlighters. It takes a few seconds to kind of realize this is a plane, I would say. So that's my main point, I would say.
I remember everybody mentioning that the plane is not really noticeable, but it was actually, for me, it was the very first thing that I noticed, that it's a plane. So
For me too.
But I remembered like everybody mentioning it in the judging process.
So Martin, while you're at it, any comments?
Yeah, I really like this one. I like the amount of detail, but there might be actually too much, a little bit too much of detail, and the whole image kind of gets messy. I'm not sure if it's the optics denoising from the renderer, or if it's all the little details and bubbles and the caustics on the ground. But I think the artwork is a tad too much busy for my taste. So cleaning up some of the bubbles and the noise might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I really love the lighting, and the focal point of the artwork with the plane is great. Maybe there is a little bit of scale issue. I think the corals and the fish are a little bit too big compared to the plane, but that might be just my opinion. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Egon, can you take your cursor a little bit to the side?
Oh, sorry, guys.
We will.
Egon, now you can take it back. So what do you say?
Yeah, there was a crop for win, as was the motto of our judging. And also with this piece, I think that crop like here might help, or a little bit like here. So we don't have this part, which is not that important for the story itself. The story happens in the middle, which is just fine. So definitely the crop would help. And if we get a little bit of detail of the scene, then we might get more focus on the plane. So definitely I would remove all the busy parts which are distracting from the plane, because that's the hero of the scene. So that's something what should be more visible, maybe even more prominent with the light coming from the top. We can get it as everything will be a little bit dimmed out of the scene, and the plane will be just beamed by the volumetric light coming from the surface. Otherwise, everything has been said. A lot of details, too much for the scene. Otherwise, it's beautiful. I love the color palette here. It's very subtle. It works well together. A couple of the coral with some extra color. It's nice touch, but just I would make it like this. We are getting too much better piece.
Yeah. Just one little thing I would add here is that the color of the rocks over here are pretty much the same as like the moss kind of thing on the plane. So it blends like pretty strongly into the rocks. And I guess this is why people take a little bit to actually see the plane. And from the storytelling perspective, I would probably have added some broken parts to the plane, like this thing hanging a little bit here, something like this. Maybe the wings are broken a little bit, and maybe the window thing here is open, the cockpit, so that you understand maybe the pilot jumped out or something like this. So yeah, this would be just a small addition here.
There is a request to zoom in onto the plane in the chat.
Okay, just doing that.
Granted.
Here you go. So you can see like the plane is pretty much intact, I guess. So it's mainly texturing work on this. But yeah. So Marsha, Daniel,
stuff like sorry, I just started.
Yeah, you can go.
In especially with images like this, and even with the last one a little bit, it's quite important, I think, to maintain levels like areas of high detail, medium detail, and low detail. So like an area like this, for example, that could be very, very bland, like very little detail. You don't need anything really there. Like there as well could even be like a more lower detail sort of area, and that draws your eye to areas of more high detail. So you could have things like tiny little bits and pieces on the plane, or like little bits like at the edges of the rock and things like that to draw your eye more towards the middle. When you have just the same density of detail over the entire image, like with this one, it makes it very hard to know what to look at because everything is drawing your eye equally. yeah, that's probably the only thing that I've got to add to this one. But yeah, it's nice though. It's got a good sense of atmosphere.
Yeah. Asha, anything?
Yeah, one last thing I would like to add is that there is this light source here we have here that feels a bit strange to me because it's obviously not from like above, it's not sunlight, and it really feels like something, I don't know, maybe a ship that is searching for the plane or anything, but we don't have like more information on that. Maybe giving this light source like some kind of shape, like to make it more obvious that it's some kind of, I don't know. I'm sorry for my bad drawing. I'm drawing with the mouse. Yeah, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I would give kudos to having the silhouette of the plane here and the background like pretty much one color, which makes it easier to distinguish from the rest. Because if we would have the high frequent details here also behind the plane, then we wouldn't see anything here. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's clean this up here and take this one in. This one is from, let me check, Kevin. This is a name I can pronounce. So, okay. I guess Grant.
Well, it's a fun image, and I'm enjoying it. But I feel like it could go a lot further if there was a bit more depth to it. It feels very sort of grey and flat. So we've got some sort of, is this either a reflection or a light source over here? Sure, I changed the grey there. There we go. I'll get my yellow brush back. But I feel like it could work if we had maybe some light coming in here, shining on our characters a bit, maybe even highlighting this area here. And that then makes me think, what is the point of all this area over here? In fact, can we possibly... Oh, no, that's the wrong button. That is the wrong button. There's a square button there. That's things up. So if we could cut that off, not with a big yellow blob, but that's suddenly a more interesting image just from the crop. So if we had some lights as well and a bit of depth to the image, I think that could really boost, because we've got a lot going on. It looks really interesting. These kids playing in a bath in this under the water, which is obviously a play on life. So I think that could go further.
What's your life like, man?
So, yeah, just that added depth would help it an awful lot. I better rub out what I've done there. There we go.
Okay, Martin, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree, definitely. And even like randomizing stuff, for example, the fish, they all seem to point the same direction. So if there was a little bit of randomization in their positioning and rotation, that would be nice. I'm not sure what the bird is doing here. Because,
I mean, there are kids underwater, so
okay, right.
Birds.
Of course. So some more detail on the clothing and maybe even the hair. I know that it's stylized, but the focal point of the whole thing is really the children and the hair. So I would do some more work on the hair. And yeah, then overall shader work would really help with some bump and normal and even displacement on the ground. Maybe that would add a lot in the second phase of improving this artwork. But yeah, definitely first I would focus on the lighting and then adding details to the shaders and to the models.
Yeah. I think one main thing I would mention here is maybe changing the camera perspective entirely. Because here, like, I think this here is like the main focus point of the scene, and it's pretty low in the image, and it's like cut down here, and we see a lot of stuff going on up here, and you can see that there's more space up here than we see down here. So I would probably like move the camera down a little bit and maybe even a little bit closer to like this little building here. Of course, not like that, but I don't know, something maybe like that. So you can see like the children's a bit closer and all the toys inside this little house. And maybe if you move the camera down and tilt it up a little bit, then you can still see a little bit of the room. Yeah, I think this would also help a bit. Anyone else?
Yeah. Also, maybe I'm sorry.
You go this time. You go this time.
Okay.
It's happening.
Also, when you're doing lighting, maybe also pay attention to the weird shadows, because we have this shadow here that looks a bit strange because it's not really clear where it's coming from. And also maybe working a bit more on adding more details to the textures, maybe paying more attention to the scale, maybe like the texture scale of the door for me looks a bit big, and so on. This would make it like look very much better. Also, if you can, we also can see, like, I'm not sure if this is that the room still, or this is a
the
whole
ceiling.
Yeah, and it feels a bit strange, so I would pay attention to that more. And apart from that, I think everyone else already said everything.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on?
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
Daniel maybe was wanted
Oh, no.
to say.
You said what I was going to say about the texture
okay.
size. So all good. Maybe just
Okay.
overall
Yeah.
increase the contrast a little. But otherwise, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
There's only one thing I would like to mention, that in our training area we have people who are beginning with 3D software or have just a little bit of experience. And what I would recommend is to take a smaller scope of the scene. Sometimes people are trying to model everything, make the scene big, epic, with so many props and foreground, background, everything detailed. If, for example, in this piece, the user would concentrate only on that small area, as Zach mentioned here, that means much more time for every tiny detail there, and that would be much more sophisticated. If all the energy is also put to all other areas around, the time is wasted, and then nothing is finished as probably the artist wanted. So I would recommend to take a small bits and try to start small and then grow as you are confident that you can finish the scene with all the details.
Yeah. Agree on that. So let's take in the next one from the training arena. This one is by, let's check, this person. So
Manjinder Singh. I'm
Martin,
trying.
you're the
I'm
man.
trying. Please don't kill me.
Okay,
People will hate us.
Marsha, do you want to start here?
Yeah, I actually like this work because especially the structure, it feels very detailed, and the fishes are look very nice. Maybe the person who made this image should reduce the depth of the volumetric just a bit, because this is the main subject of the scene, but we actually can't see it very well. We mostly see the sand, the plants, and everything here. That also drives the attention away because they have more bright color. And if we had some more light over here, maybe hitting the structure, and a little less volumetric effect, we could see this part a bit more, and it would be, we could like see all the nice details and everything. Yeah.
Martin, what do you think?
Yeah, this one agree definitely with Masha, and this one would really benefit from some sort of darkening on the edges. And again, some I'm going to repeat myself, just as in the previous case, some normal maps or height maps on the ground would definitely add so much to it. But yeah, the focus is not the ground actually, so darkening it as much as possible would probably be best. And my cursor keeps changing color, and I want this blue, nice cyan color. So yeah, this area should be darker. This one, everything around the point of view of this artwork. That would definitely help immediately.
Egon.
Yeah, well, pretty much said. I would just say better zoom for the object, because the most of the scene is not that important on this image. Only what is important is that old temple or the building what is in background. So definitely, again, the crop something much smaller would help. Well, let's say we can do it either vertically, because we will get all we need here. Or we can do it the other way around. We can do it with the rectangular shape, but then only this part is important, and much out of it can be left, because all the space here doesn't make any story, anything. There is no sense to have it. So let's keep the focus only on this point. Then we don't have the problem with the extra fish, which is in here, drawing the attention. The fish in this frame, I would say it's okay, and all is about the play of the light and the contrast. So as has been said, we need more light to get our hero asset to be really shining here.
Crop for the win.
Much about that. Crop for the win. That was the most repeating phrase. Yeah.
Yeah, and one little thing for the fish in general. These fish here, I think, are a bit too big, maybe, for the temple. Feels a little bit too small then. And also I would probably clamp them closer together so that we have little fish swarms and not the fish randomly swimming all over the place, which is pretty distracting. And then again, we don't have these noisy shapes everywhere, but it's again in just smaller areas, and then it's not so distracting, I guess. Yeah. Daniel, anything? Have you talked already?
No, I haven't. I'd probably say similarly to how your eyes draw into high details over low detail areas. It's also drawn to high contrast areas over low contrast areas. So it's not just the light and how much brightness there is, it's also the contrast against the darkness. So your eye is immediately drawn to down here immediately, and to spots like these, because there's these sort of brighter areas with something dark directly next to it. So detail and contrast and color and things like that, they're all things that could be used to draw your eye, and this one's unfortunately drawing it to everywhere except where we want it to be. There's further on to the volumetrics issue, there seem to be things like this fish here that are the exact same, there seem to be the exact same depth as the focus, but there seem to be the same amount of there seems to be the same amount of volumetrics on it, but it's massive next to the structure, and these fish seem to be swimming behind it. So yeah, it does make the temple look temple structure, whatever it is, look extremely small, which is a bit unfortunate. And with the sand down the bottom, again, I know this is training arena still, so it's quite good, but I'd probably be trying to use these lines to sort of the texture to drive the height of the sand a little bit more, so it doesn't feel so much like someone sort of painted some flat hills with some zebra stripes. But otherwise, yeah, it's very, very nice. And I really do appreciate the sense of atmosphere again in this one. Maybe some sort of like light beams kind of coming down here. So some volumetric rays kind of thing to really enhance the sense of water rather than just general haze.
Bubbles.
But yeah.
I think one little thing that we saw earlier in the image with the plane is that we could also add some sort of light behind the temple so that you better can see the silhouette of the temple. So either make the background a little bit darker or a little bit brighter. I think this would help as well. I drawn on the artwork, so let's undo this. Okay, anyone else? Or should we move on?
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Okay, the last one from the training arena before we get to the training arena highlights later on. Let's actually scale this down a bit. So, and this one is by Martin. It's your time.
Vaibhav Acharya.
Very nice. So,
I was mesmerized by the depth of field, so sorry, I forgot.
Egon, do you want to start here?
I can start. I'm a little bit lost because this should be underwater world. I mean, and I see a pretty nice color palette here. I see nice plants, which draws my eyes intentionally, like on the spot. I don't see the water or underwater. So for me, there is no element which reminds me that we are underwater, except that something blue in the background, which might be also the night forest or something. So I would definitely love to have some element of water in here just to remind me, because right now I would say maybe we are in a greenhouse. I see some puddle of mud here, which is interesting. I see the plant, but I'm not really convinced that we are underwater. So water element can be more bluish tones, can be the bubbles, can be a fish floating somewhere, something which reminds us that we are underwater. If it comes to composition, well, the central composition done really, I would say, a good way. It's not bad because I see what I want to see right away. Of course, the diffuse in front, it's very strong. It looks more like motion blur. It's too much. So please be subtle with this. This is if you do too much of defocusing, it makes this kind of mess, and it's not really helping the scene. So that one I would definitely can get off the image. And the complementary colors, they work well. Blue, yellow, green. That's very nice contrast, very nice light. But as I said, missing the water element here. So for me, it would be good render for other competition. But here I am a little bit out of the story. So maybe you can continue if you see something else there.
Grant, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because, at first glance, you sort of think, well, unless we weren't knowing that this was an underwater world competition, you wouldn't straight away think it's underwater. So just something to give a little bit of that sense, maybe the obvious one, a fish or bubbles or something like that. But even with that, I feel like we are lacking, and I think Egon was kind of pointing out this, a focal point. So we've got these plants in the middle here. Oh, I'm on the square still. Let's undo that. Go back to that's better. We've got these plants, and are they the focal feature? I feel like that's slightly dull for a focal feature. And if we were to crop the image, let's come in here and crop it to about here. And then go back to the brush, and then maybe we had some sort of gold ring or something. This is just beautiful, isn't it? And then with a diamond on it, a red diamond or something. And then suddenly it sort of stands out, and it's all very sparkly. But suddenly our eyes would be drawn to that. Obviously, I'd put in slightly more effort than I have here. But can you see how we're suddenly going into the image this way a bit more? and we've got something to look at. And what we haven't mentioned so far is that the story element to these pieces is very important, and I know you often emphasize that on your challenges. So having a bit of story like the Lost Gold Ring or something like that, I don't think it's been done before, lost rings and powerful rings or anything like that. So it'll be something very new.
Okay, anyone else want to add something here?
Yeah. The thing I would correct a bit is that the plants, I mean, I agree on everything the others said, so that's the same thing. And what I don't really like here is the plants. They have nice colors, they have nice shapes and everything, but we kind of see a very obvious repetition. I mean, we can see here we have the same leaves as here, and they have like basically the same shape everywhere, and this is too obvious, so I would correct that. And also the ground, it looks like it's kind of wet, so basically this contributes to increase the feeling of not being under the water. So yeah, these are the two things I would correct. Maybe
there's some really I will always appreciate a really nice burqa shape, these little like circles from the defocus. But you seem to be getting a lot of like weird denoising effects and things, particularly in there and also in here. So maybe just increase the number of samples you're using when rendering would probably help quite a lot. And there seems to be a weird sort of, I don't know if that's a shader error or what's going on down there. Yeah, but there's some weird lines and things going on. Just and they're very obvious. This you can sort of see where the polygons are on that little, just on that one little spot, and it's kind of throwing my OCD into a tailspin, unfortunately. But yeah, I personally really do love the atmosphere and all that sort of thing. The colors and all that sort of thing. It's a really nice, vibrant image, and that's really quite nice. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I would say let's jump into the first or 5 images from the Pro Arena. So let's start with this one here. This one is from, let me check, Dary Hakiim.
Nice.
Hakiim?
Yeah.
Okay. Martin, go ahead.
By the way, I must appreciate that Egon looks like he's underwater. So,
Yeah.
a little side note. So I remember really liking this one from the judging process, and it even was in my initial picks for the Pro Arena. But then we then quite correctly we talked about the a little bit of lack of story in this one, because the area that should be like the point of view of the image, the most important point of the artwork is around this point, and I'm not sure if it's interesting enough. I mean, yeah, there is the pearl, but it's not, I don't know, it's not lit properly. I think it's not highlighted enough, and everything or the most thing is this one, but I'm not even sure what it is. It probably is a building, yes, but I think it lacks detail, and kinda my attention is kind of battling between these two. So I think that's the biggest drawback of this artwork, which is otherwise really nice, and the combination of the colors I really like. So yeah.
Here we also see, like in comparison to the underwater plane, that the ground here has not too much details. so it's not like distracting too much. Oh, Marsha? Okay, Marsha was 2 times here.
I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to point this out. So this is a good example of still being detailed enough, but not adding details everywhere. For example, we have also these little clumps of like little stones here and there, but they are not equally distributed everywhere here. So this makes this much easier to read. Let's undo this. And please continue. Egon.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about the story here because the story, it's kind of tricky here. We have a taxi submarine. We have this sparrow, which I'm not sure if they are only to watch or to hunt for. So, and we have that building in the background, which probably is something we can totally drop. So let me get my pen. So if we, whoops, sorry, I don't see it here. So if we drop this, then we have the main point for the story, which is this one, and which is this submarine. Well, the level of detail and level of polygon shape and everything, it's totally different. We have very smooth, clean, shiny material for the submarine. We have kind of low poly, like hard to read shape for the pure and for the shell. So that's something which should be on the same level of the detail or the same level of the like quality of the material. But let's say that it's somewhere further in muddy water, so it's a little bit out of the focus, so we can have it. But definitely, I would play with the light here, so we can have light like this, because this part here can be totally dark. It's not that important for the story. The important is this part, what we are having in this diagonal way, where we can see from one way to another. Probably we can even get the submarine a little bit closer, maybe up to this point. So we have this submarine shape here. Maybe it can have some mechanical arm trying to grab this. So then we are having some story there. They are going to hunt. Probably it wouldn't need to be taxi then, but just some kind of submarine. We can have some side windows. Maybe people are visible like at the window. And we are getting a little bit more of story. And then at the same time, we are getting all the elements what we need right in the light. And what is not important, we are getting somewhere in the shade hidden. So that would definitely help to play with the light, to draw the eye, and create more story for this one.
Someone mentioned in the comments that the shape back here might be the front part of a ship, because we also see this chimney kind of thing here. If this would be like a big ship, like Titanic or something like this, I guess I would probably place it more, I don't know, something like this. And at the typical shapes, I don't know what kind of shapes they are, but so that you can clearly, better than I draw here, but clearly read the shapes. And because the angle is pretty weird to understand, especially with all this stuff in the foreground here. So now I messed things up, I guess. Sorry for that. Let me quickly clear this up because I, of course, drawn on the layer.
Not enough undo, right?
Yeah. 16, I guess. So, okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's actually really hard for me to criticize this artwork because it was one of my favorites. It was one of my picks. But actually, I totally agree with everything you guys said. And also, one more thing I would like to ask. I would like to say is that here on fishes and around... this color is not okay for this. Here on fishes, here and around the taxi, we have this kind of glowing thing. Oh.
Drawing with a mouse is not
yeah,
easy.
it's so hard. Anyway, you can see it also here. Around some subjects, we have this kind of glowing thing that feels a lot like something that was added in post-production to maybe light out the subjects, but it feels really weird to me. So maybe because they're not actually glowing, so it feels a bit strange.
It's little glints, right? But the areas are not bright enough to make glints, so that's why it's weird.
I'm sort of reading it like it's light scattering off the bounce. So it's like the light's hitting the thing and then scattering in the water a little bit as it bounces off.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, it does look a little odd though.
Yeah, maybe it's too much. Maybe just a little would make more sense.
Yeah,
but in
subtle.
this way, it's too much. And anyway, I like very much the design of the whole image. The taxis looks really cool. So well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, someone asked how we have picked the artworks which we are showing here. So basically, on Monday, I sent out an email asking everyone that replays fast enough. We will pick the first 5. So these are the first 5 images, some of them here, and we also picked a few which we recognized during our judging process, where we thought, okay, it might be interesting to talk about this in the stream. So that means a few of them we have picked. And of course, later in the stream, we will talk about the winners as well. Okay, let's continue with the next one, which is this one here. And this one is from, let's check, Dylan Atkins. Martin, better you do.
Dylan Atkins. I think this is a simple one, right?
Yeah.
Simple, come
Just
on.
Come on.
Okay.
And a good one also.
Let's start with Grant. I think you haven't spoken for a while.
Yeah, I like this one. This is really good fun. And it's got lots of depth, which some of the other ones have been lacking, but you can really notice that depth through the contrast of the lighting here. And your eyes are certainly drawn to this, if I can do that, this area here. And there's lots going on. It's very exciting. There's interesting sort of bubbles in this area, but they don't detract from the main area, which is this focus here, which I really enjoy. The one thing that let it down for me, was the mouth of the monster. I remember when we were reviewing this, I didn't realize that the monster had its mouth open. So there's teeth down here, and I didn't see them to start off with. I thought it was just this bottom jaw was kind of up here. So I was confused by that. And I think it was someone, I can't remember who pointed out, but it's perhaps the lack of texture of the mouth and the lack of detail in the mouth that makes it look like it's just the underneath of its chin or something like that. But apart from that, I really enjoyed this image.
Daniel, what do you want to say? One thing someone said in the comments that it's sad that it's apparently Blender only. That's actually not the case. So it's totally open what software you want to use in the challenge. So some of these are not Blender. Just want to point this out.
Okay, well, this one's really, really cool, and I really like this one. Again, the sense of depth and atmosphere is really, really cool. Especially with the seaweed, how it sort of fades off into the background there. It's very, very nice. Like it quite a lot. I'd probably be this lens flare. So lens flares sort of work off the center of the image. So it would be more like something like this kind of thing, where it work like it would pivot around this point here. So if the light's down here, then one of the brighter parts of the lens flare would probably be over here, not down here. It's a niggly minor thing, but that's it's something that sort of threw me off a little, because I didn't actually read that as a lens flare at first. It was more like I don't know, some sort of strange glow or something. You've got quite a lot of low poly sort of looking rocks and the plants even in the foreground. I know that they look kind of smooth, but it looks like it might just be a bit of subsurface or something on a very simple sort of shape, like plains kind of thing. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a little, especially around here, and you can see the individual sort of polygons a little bit more. So maybe using a displacement map or something like that to really sort of add extra detail into things like that would really, really help. I think the bubbles look amazing, especially when they're like quite up close. I think like these ones where you get that nice burqa shape that I like very much. But yeah. I think that if this big orange highlight kind of thing, where the light's hitting the monster, was a little bit more central to the mouth, and because you can sort of see like where the throat's kind of going down into the monster. I feel like if the light was a little bit more on that spot, so you could read that throat a little bit more, it would probably help quite a lot. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's mainly it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say here is that I really appreciate the upper part of the creature, this one here, which looks pretty much fantastic, I think. Maybe if you look up close, like a tiny bit more bump map or something like this for some little details. But other than that, I also love the shading of the eyes, which looks pretty weird, but also awesome. So nice one on that. And I think also the color choice is pretty perfect here with like the warm orange for the lamp and the dark blue here in the background. So yeah, nice one here. Martin, anything you want to add here?
I'm a little, well, apart from that, this is an awesome challenge artwork. I really loved it. I'm a little bit bothered by the shape of the teeth here, but that's just a minor thing. They somehow feel a little bit too thin for me and a little bit too subdivided. I'm not gonna like slow this down. I really like it, and if the author really improves the inside of the mouth, it will be amazing.
There's a comment there talking about post-processing and if it's allowed, and it definitely is. Yeah, just don't be afraid to do it, because it does really, really help quite a lot, especially when you're after taking a raw render and doing a lot of things, just like not like big changes, but like things like adding a bit of vignette or chromatic aberration and stuff like that. They can really, really help.
Yeah, that's totally okay. And I think in most cases, if you don't overdo it with like post effects, then this can really enhance your images.
I can speak to that definitely, because that's what I do for a living. I take 3D renders and make them look more realistic with compositing. That's so.
By adding lens flares, right?
By adding lens flares and vignettes and chromatic aberration. Yeah. That's all we do.
All day long.
Okay, anyone want to add anything here? Nope. All right, then let's move on to the next one. This one is from Martin Schrimpel.
Nice.
It sounds pretty German, so it's easy to read for me. So, I think Egon, don't you even know this person?
Yeah, this guy is from my hometown, so I know that he's involved a lot in 3D. He's doing a lot of artwork with Blender for years, and from time to time I see some of his new works at his website or ArtStation. So this pretty much is his style. He's very detailed, which we can see here on the picture. The only trick here was the first time when we looked at it, if we are looking for the real scene or the miniature. Because right now the strong defocus of the scene, it reminds us of the miniatures. And at the same time, it's very closing like to the very real side. So something which will remind us what kind of the world we are in would be good. So if we are having some detail, let's say on the floor, like we said, maybe the diamond ring, like David said. If we have something, wrong color again. So if we have something here, maybe a toy, maybe a little toy octopus, whatever, then we know that it's an aquarium, and then this is like miniature model down there, or we can put some really small real detail, maybe a lost anchor, maybe some diver, real diver standing on the seabed, and we know that it's underwater world in the real sea. So something what will give us the idea about if it's real or if it's a toy. Otherwise, technically, it's done very nice. I am just for me, the main issue is the camera. It's a lot of depth of field here, so we don't see details. It looks more like blurry, or if it's like low res, I'm not sure. So that's probably why we are thinking that this is the miniature. There's something in the background. I would believe it's maybe the sea mine, like the explosive stuff. But it has a huge chain. So again, the scale, it's kind of hard to believe the scale. So something wrong with that. A part of it,
it's so close to the camera that's so much out of focus.
Oh, okay, well then it's close. Yeah, that's the problem with the extreme depth of field. So we don't see. Maybe it's like in here, in front of the submarine. Then again, something it's wrong with the scale. I would probably drop this as it's very distracting. And if it comes to the color palette, it's nice. I would add a little bit more space above the submarine to position it maybe more in the center, so we can see it grounded better in the water. But okay, I've zoomed out a little bit, so maybe that's not the issue that much. Oh, sorry, I was a little bit zoomed out. So no, but still, I have a wrong perception of the scale here. If it comes to the colors, I love them. They are very subtle. It's believable. It's under the surface. Everything is dark and bluish tones, even the seabed. So that's pretty cool. I would appreciate probably maybe some, again, highlight on the submarine to give it like more focus on the picture. Yeah, that's probably the main issue for me. It's that I'm not sure about the story here, if it's the real world or the miniature. Some small element would give us the perception of the aquarium or a perception of the sea. That would be good.
I mean, we can see all these little fish here, and I think this might be an indicator that this should be like a real submarine.
Okay, well
I'm still not sure.
More confusing.
Yeah, I'm more and more confused the more I look at the artwork. The scale is all. The scale is all over.
I think it's just the depth of field, right? Like when you have something huge like that, the depth of field should be almost non-existent on the actual submarine. But unless something's really, really close. But because like between the front, middle, and the back, you've got blurred in focus and then blurred again. It makes it feel tiny.
Yeah. So if it's real world, then we have these strings here coming down, and I'm again a little bit confused.
I think these are mines behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's probably better to not to have them there, because it's again making more confusion than explaining the story.
Or like
maybe we
extend
should
them.
see them behind the ship.
Exactly, somewhere up here. Beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, beep. So.
Yeah, but also I don't know if anyone mentioned that, but for me, what is a bit confusing about the scale is also the scale of the like the ground compared to dark color again. The
It's still the
By
same.
the way,
Yeah.
you can middle
the
click,
ground
Mhm.
compared to the ship, it looks very like big, like they are just stones or anything like this. Yeah.
Especially down here, right? Because you can see that
Yeah.
leaf is behind the mine chain, and it makes it feel like a 10-ton lettuce,
Yeah.
which is not great.
Yeah.
And the little one other thing I would mention here is that the contrast is pretty high. So yeah, the blacks are a little bit crushed here and there, pretty much everywhere. So a little bit too much for my taste. So reducing the contrast a little bit might help here as well.
Yep.
All right,
And the texture
should we
on silver is
continue?
really good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. This one here. Oh, that's big.
By the way, guys, I figured it out why I kept changing colors. When you middle click, I have this habit from Blender, I guess. When middle click
Yeah,
pans
same for
with
me.
but here it actually samples the colors. So.
Yeah. But I can't stop doing that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
So you
hold
want
on
to rotate the
space.
image, yeah?
So this one is by
You want to
Shannon,
rotate it.
Delaney. This was requested with email, replaying fast, basically. So, Marsha.
Yeah, I actually saw this one progressing in the community, and it was really nice. I mean, it made a really, really good progression compared to the beginning, and well done, really. A few changes I would make is maybe, in general, probably adding more variety, randomness to the scene, because we, for example, have this seaweeds where we basically like I'm using the razor to paint. Oops. And I was there like, why it's not painting? What's wrong? Anyway, we have this seaweed that looks really like I don't know. It looks really fake because naturally, if you go to and see some pictures of the seaweed we have under the sea, they are usually like they grow all together like in this way. Like
Little clumps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this ones they like grow up all alone, and this makes it feel a bit weird. And one more thing I would add is maybe like adding a bit more variety to the fish, to the texture of the fish, because we have all this nice detail in the sculpting, but the color all the same basically, especially on the front part. So I think adding just some more like color changes, maybe I don't know, roughness changes, maybe lowering down the roughness a bit, because for something that it's under the sea, it looks really like too much glowy. I don't know. Yeah. And it feels like it's wet and it's not under the water, but somewhere else, something like this. Yeah. So that are the main things I would change.
Yeah. One thing I just noticed, like storytelling wise, this one is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's
So
very nice story.
we have basically this captured creatures, like the crab, like cutting the seaweed here, and the big one having this glowing light bulb thing in here. I would probably like add a little stronger light shining through the window so that you really get the idea of it's lighting up there. And I think one major thing I would change here is exactly that. You read my mind. And maybe shift the camera a tiny bit to the left so that on the left side we have a little bit more space, basically. Let's see a little bit more. And then it would fit much better, I guess. Yeah. One other thing is that the glowing in the eyes are like pretty flat. So I'm not sure, but maybe a little bit of highlight, although Masha just told us we should add too much, but a little bit of highlight or a little bit of shadow around here and maybe some like veins in the eyes would help to make them not look too much like plastic, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like just generally if you had a bit more, like Zach said, with a stronger light with the windows, but having a little like a little porch light or something like that in here to sort of light up the door, as well as the stronger light from the windows, it would draw your eye a little bit more to down here, which I feel like it probably should be something like you'll look at the house and see the shell house and see like what's going on there, and then you kind of follow it back to see this creature, and then you look down and see that creature. So you got this sort of flow. That would probably work a little bit nicer, but it's a cool little image. I like it.
Okay, Egon, anything to add here?
Pretty much all set with the crop. I totally agree. Moving the camera a little bit to the left, and also we can add some because it's already here. I'm sampling the colors. We have some volumetrics here, so I would make them maybe a little bit more prominent. Then we can lower the light on the creature itself, and then we will get the contour revealing the creature in the background. Otherwise, I like it. The story is great. Just probably the details should be more balanced. Like we have very detailed skin, not detailed teeth here. So only the little things. This has a lot of potential, and just a couple of adjustments can make this great art with a good story here.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right. I don't want to push it, but there's a tutorial that I made, and I'm detailing some of the techniques that would really help here. So I'll post it in the chat, right?
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. And let's move on to the last one from the Pro Arena, basically, before we get to the winning entries. And this one is by Vulkaen. Pretty cool name.
Yeah. I want to be named like that.
One Vulkaen, please, sir.
All right, who want to start here? Who is most experienced in characters? Anyone? I know that Masha likes sculpting scales, so maybe you start here.
Yeah. Okay. So overall thing, it looks pretty good. I like the story in general. It looks really interesting, and the only thing there are a few things I would change about the siren or mermaid character, because from like anatomy point of view, there, especially the breast, it doesn't look really. I mean, it points to looking realistic, but it looks like half realistic. Where are the nipples? Basically.
I was waiting for this.
We had a long discussion.
I know it was. Yeah. Anyway, because if you make a naked woman, I mean, it can't be like half naked. Like it can't have a naked body but without details. You should add the details too, but if you don't want to add the details, you can simply cover them with, I don't know, some
Seashells.
seaweeds or anything. Yeah, something like this. You have a lot of options
Or
from
make
this
the
point of
hair
view.
flow along.
And the
Yep.
breast is not the only thing. The hands also have like a shape that could be a bit. Yeah, that one too. Yeah, we have some problems with the hands. Okay, my mouse is like has limited possibilities. Anyway, a bit more attention to the body of the mermaid and to the shading, because like in previous image we have this really like glowing shape, like not glowing, it's really
Specular.
yeah, exactly, it's really specular. It looks really like it's out of the water and it's wet, but we have a scene where we're obviously under the water, so it looks a bit strange for me at least. So yeah.
That's something we it was in a lot of artwork. The specularity of objects that are underwater is different
Yeah.
than something that is wet above waterline. So
Yeah.
definitely reference can help with this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, looking at fishes and so on, it would help a lot in these cases. So that's it for me. Someone else?
One thing which I was noticing is that the tail part here, dang color,
Yeah,
the
sample.
tail part here feels pretty long, and the bending is kind of weird. So if you would straighten this, I guess she would have like a very, very long tail here, which doesn't really fit the proportions of the rest of the body. So I guess making this a little bit shorter would make her look a bit more realistic in proportions. And also from the bending here, this one is bent pretty fast or pretty wide. And then here it's pretty straight. So I guess it would be nicer to have a nice curvy shape here. So basically bend the upper body a little bit more towards the front, which would make the pose a bit more interesting to read. And one thing, when we zoom in here pretty close, you can see the connection of the hair here. It's pretty harsh. So I would probably try to add some kind of gradient, which is going from a very dark color and floating along the hair strands to make them blend better into the head. Yeah. And if we go over to this little diver here, I think I would brighten him up a little bit. He's pretty dark. If we compare it to the mermaid, she's like very highlighted, but the diver up here is a little bit hard to read. It's totally fine to make him dark, but then I would probably make the god rays in the background a tiny bit brighter so we can see the silhouette a bit better here. Yeah, that's for me.
Or even adding like these sorts of,
That's
like glowy shapes, like the color like this, and blur it, and it adds this area that is blurred, and it brightens your background, and anything that's in front of it is then highlighted, even if it's dark, especially when it's dark. So that's always a good idea.
all right. Egon, anything to add?
Nope, I think all has been said for this one.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Like there's just seems to be that same sort of denoising thing again up here, or like maybe just a really simplistic shape.
There's some sort
not
of
sure what that
mushrooms.
is, but it's yeah, it's a little bit off-putting. But yeah, if it is just
I think it's a
denoising.
rock or something like this. It's a rock,
Yeah,
and there's
if
some
it is
sort
just
of
a bit of denoising, then just
Yeah.
again increase the renders samples. When the render is really dark, you often need quite a lot more samples because otherwise it gets very mushy when the denoise happens.
Yeah. Some people suggest to make the diver bigger because they can't see it. I'm not sure. Like, I think this should be a very huge mermaid creature.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it's
I
nice
think
and
you
readable.
can highlight it a bit more with some rim lights or anything, and it would be great.
All right.
One last thing.
yeah.
One last thing. I really like the colors on the tail.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
they
the
look great.
subsurface down here. Very nice.
Also, the corals down here looks nice. So definitely a color choice, and so looks nice. Okay, that was pretty much like the random selection from the submissions, and now we start with the highlights of the training arena, meaning we don't pick winners for the training arena, so these are in no particular order, but we pick images we like a lot and just highlight them on the winner page. The link is, by the way, down below in the video description. So let's start with this one here. Let's show the name. It's by Bharat Kumawat or Kumawat.
Nice. That was even the accent was right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I give my best.
By the way, Vulkaen says thanks a lot for the feedback.
Cheers,
You're
man.
welcome.
You're welcome.
Very welcome.
Enjoy
Can we
the
have
name.
name, please.
Yeah.
All right. Grant, do you want to start here?
Sure, yeah, I like this one. I think it's really good fun. I like the style particularly. So that sort of, it's almost toy-like, I suppose, isn't it? And it's got that cuddliness, a nice feeling to it. So really great fun. I thought originally when I saw this, I thought that the diver, oh, if I can draw on there we go. I thought it was actually a submarine. So, and then it's only now that I'm realizing that these are sort of small legs and arms here. So perhaps a little bit more definition for silly people like me who don't recognize these things. And the light seems to be going out this way and then stops here. Can you see that? It's sort of out like this and then stops there. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. And that it's frustrating me because it's such a great image, and little tiny things like this, they can just sort of draw your eye, and you're thinking, what's going on there? What's wrong with that light? And it needs to really sort of shoot out like this.
It looks as if there's like a 3D cone with a volumetric shader, and then inside there's a spotlight.
That makes sense,
especially because you can sort of see where the line of the light. Oh God, bloody sampling! You can sort of see where the line sort of stops on the sail of the ship. We're all
Blender users.
Yeah, but you can see where the light actually hits the ship there, and it doesn't line up with the cone at all.
Yeah.
So apart from those things, I really a great image, great fun, loved it. But just those tiny things can make quite a big difference.
Yeah. Egon.
It's a beautiful, almost Toy Story style. I really like the color palette. It's very playful, so it's even emphasized this feeling of the playfulness. It's a little bit too busy at some points, so definitely would help, let's say, in this area. Okay, purple is not perfect for this one. We'll try yellow. So maybe in this area, if we just lower the number of different things here to put more attention on the ship itself, because we still have plenty of bubbles, a little fish maybe, bubbles here. So I would definitely lower the number of the objects in foreground, because that makes it too busy here, and also in this area. So only tiny details, because this is the color palette is nice, the whole composition is cool. You immediately see the object of the attention is here, looking here. Maybe it's a little bit strange because the visor is here, so we probably see here, and the lamp is coming here, but this is a minor thing. It's just me nitpicking, so ignore that one. But definitely this is the point where all the action happens. So I would really be happy if there is less distracting detail around here. And if I zoom out a little bit so I can see it better, this part here at the lower corner is a little bit unbalanced. So maybe I would add some other bigger object like a rock on the right side, again a little bit darker to cover maybe a little bit of the foreground, which is not that important. Otherwise, color palette, stylization, all the props are beautiful. They are simple, and so it's a nice example how less can be more. So it's just minor things, playing with the image, and it's nice illustration for a stylized game or maybe for some story. Really cool image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think this is one of those cases where vignetting would really, really help. Like just. Give me a second. There's a bigger brush than this.
You can do it.
I'm gonna go. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
not obviously.
Not
cleaner.
really like that.
Cleaner than that, but it draws your eye more to the middle without sort of removing the details from the outside. And that would also, I think, help with.
Yeah.
Oh, look there. Yes. It would probably help with Jan's issue with the coral down here too, because it would sort of darken those areas where there's all that extra detail, and draw your eye more to the point where we actually care about. But I mean, yeah, minor notes. It's really, really pretty. I like this one a lot.
Actually, when it comes to now that you highlight the black color is gone now, but I think it highlighted a little bit of problem that I have with this. It kind of feels like from tool, the composition is leaning to the left a little bit. Like it's probably caused by there's a lot of detail in here, and there's not enough detail in here, and that all causes like the composition to fall a little bit to the left. I think, Zach, if you flip the image, you can do that for the audience. I think so.
Yes.
Yes. Now it's falling a little bit to the right. And every time you're unsure about your composition with any artwork, just flip in an image and check, refreshing your eyes really helps. That's what I do all the time when I'm making some artwork. And I think this little test always helps. And what I would advise is getting rid of all the detail in here, or at least not having so much detail in here, and adding some more bubbles in here or some fish even. That would even out the composition. Or actually cropping. A little bit of crop like
to
this.
win.
Yeah, crop to win.
Yeah.
Martin likes cropping things.
Yeah, everybody likes cropping things.
We all love cropping.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
great job.
No.
Otherwise.
Yeah. I just wanted to add a small thing is that this fish here, if we zoom in, we can see some lack of subdivisions. And on other fishes, it's not really visible because they're like mostly out of focus. But on that one, it's a bit visible. So just that thing. Yeah.
A minor thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a minor thing. Anyway, good job. It's really cool.
Yeah.
A bigger brush. Sorry, ignore me.
Daniel's back.
Hold on. I'll just
Half an hour later.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes.
found it.
I think you should use dark blue.
Yeah, dark blue maybe. But yeah,
There
that's
you
the
have
idea.
it. There you have it, people.
All right. Anyway, we don't want to make this too long here, so let's go to the next one. So, Martin, you can pronounce this name. It's a long one.
Daniel Verduzco Villanueva.
Daniel Verduzco.
Villanueva.
Verduzco.
Villanueva. Yeah.
I didn't even
Daniel
stop to
Villanueva.
think. So
So it's a training highlight.
Villanueva.
So can I zoom in a bit more here? No, not too close.
I think one of us was right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Grant, start, please.
Oh, thank you very much. I love this image. I think it's really great, and I like the focal image or aspect of the character in the middle, and how we got the light coming down from this direction. It's working really, really nicely. There's just one thing that I'd change about it, and that's the pose of the diver. It seems a little bit kind of boring, dare I say it. I'd like a bit more of a dynamic pose. So maybe the feet going away in the distance. So if I can draw an arrow like this, that's dreadful, isn't it? But so he's leaning towards the camera, and the spear's going up at a bit more of an angle. We've got a little bit of a kink in the arm there, where there's pinching. So watch out for that sort of thing when you're posing your characters. Do a little bit extra sculpting on that area to smarten them up. It can really help. So just that tiny little things like that will make a huge difference, I think, to the image, because it's got this sort of flat line going this way, whereas I feel like we've got this diagonal line that we need with this character. So the spear going up in that direction, I think would be better. Hopefully my lines make some sort of sense there.
I think so. Daniel.
I really like this one. I'm having trouble finding things to criticize. Really, I think the main thing that I'd probably change a little is maybe trying to reduce the distraction factor from the jellyfish, because the vibrant colors, again, coming back to that contrast thing that I was talking about before. We've got these oh god, no, hold on. We've got these really dark strips followed by these really bright strips, and they're sort of drawing your eye away from the center. I think that the detail in the jellyfish is really cool. I like the fact that I can not really see any that look the same. They don't look duplicated at all, as far as I can tell. There may be one in there, like maybe this one actually. But I'm really trying to find issues with it to look at that. But,
by the way, do you know what would fix it, Daniel? A vignette.
Yeah, hold on.
I thought you would say cropping.
No.
Go for it, man.
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah, so like instantly better. Yes.
Perfect.
But because you're drawn away from the jellyfish and drawn towards the guy in the middle that way a lot more than you were before.
Agreed. Maybe not here, but maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not there. Hold on. I fix.
You fix. Good.
Do better than that. Come on, do better than that. There we go.
By the way, people, next time we will learn this software. So
this is new. Sorry,
it's all new to us.
Yeah, I basically surprised them just like 15 minutes before we started. We basically use this new tool. Yay! So, okay, Martin, anything to add here?
Well, I think that was all from the criticism. For me, I really love the jellyfish, and actually, these shapes remind me of the shapes from Arcane, the Netflix series, with the little drawings that Jinx does. So I keep expecting some sort of face being here.
Some X.
So yeah, it's just a little note. I really like the shapes on the jellyfish.
Yeah. I thought one little thing, which is not like a big thing, maybe the jellyfish could feel a little bit more transparent. Like some of them feel pretty solid, so that you can like a little bit better see through them and a little bit from what's going on behind them. I don't know. But yeah, this is just a minor thing. I still feel that it works here in this image. So if we don't have much to say, then I guess it's a pretty good image, right?
Yeah, one of the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then let's continue with the next one, which is this one here. And this one is by, let me check the name, by Emin Mamedov.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Lovely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, Egon, what you say?
I would say Cthulhu. Lovecraftian piece. I really like this one on the first sight. It's very good. It has a very good story. There's some minor details. Well, some details we can always pick on, but there are some details in the execution. But in terms of composition, it works well. The story is good. There are some hidden details which takes longer to discover. I really appreciate the composition where you start here with the submarine, and your eyes is drawn here. You see this hidden, partially hidden statue. Then you start to discover different details, and you see those tentacles and maybe fingers here. And then you go around, and then you later discover the diver here and diver here. These are kind of like hidden details, which are, by my own thinking, it's pretty nice that it takes longer to discover them, so not everything is visible at once. I really appreciate the color palette here. It's a deep under the sea. You believe it's something ancient. All those brownish, orangish tones gives it a really ancient look. I was kind of thinking about the scale of the arc around here, as it's not appropriate. But then later, as I'm a big fan of Lovecraft, I realized that all those monsters, they were gargantuous, they were huge. So they were also living in some huge structures caves under the sea. So this ginormous structure is kind of correct. So I wouldn't really criticize it now, because I was thinking about it more and more in the context, and then that works well. I appreciate this old style submarine with a lot of tiny details, like riveting here. You believe it's kind of the copper structure with coming from the last or from the 19th century. So this is believable prop for me. And everything works well. If it comes to the technical point, there's a lot of noise in the volumetrics here, and there's a lot of noise on the statue. So if it's rendered with more samples again, this is like our mantra today, it would give us a much sharper and cleaner image. That would definitely help. And maybe a little bit of crop, because here again, and here again, we can give the more attention what is important, but that's just a minor thing. I really love this place. I love how the story is shown here. I love the focal point pointing all the story here. I love the highlight here, because like, if you put it 2/3, we have all important what is happening in here in the correct spot. Submarine, monster, highlight. It just works fine.
Yeah.
So it's a big plus, and you see nice details like the structure or like some kind of reef here. You see another part of the cave here, tiny bubbles, which gives it a perception of there is some motion in there. You see some fish are drawn to the light. So I think it's all well executed. I really like this picture.
All right.
Okay, all for me.
Daniel, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, a couple of minor things.
No vignette, please.
No. This one doesn't need it. But I find, oh god, no, not again. This guy here, I find almost impossible to see. He's really, really tiny.
And dark.
And is very, very dark against a dark background. So like this guy down here, I think is done really, really quite well with the lantern light sort of behind him. I feel like that works quite well. Like maybe a similar thing to that up here, just so he's a bit more visible. But again, pretty minor thing. And also these bubbles here sort of bug me a little bit, because you can sort of see that there's these divisions in it where it goes from quite dense to sort of smaller ones or less dense, and then they're just gone. So maybe a smoother transition, and they seem really sharp next to the submarine. Like these ones over here, that's probably mostly the effect of some aberration that's making these ones look a bit nicer, but they look a bit softer as well, which works a little bit nicer. It gives a sense of movement, whereas these ones feel like they came into being and then just immediately stopped, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, minor details. There's a few things like you can sort of see the polygons a bit, like there, kind of. But yeah, minor nitpicks. It's a very nice image. I like it a lot. Yep.
Martin, anything to add here?
Well, only thing that wasn't mentioned, I think I would welcome if these fish were smaller. If there was a lot more of them and they were smaller, because since they appear to be huge, they are kind of taken away from the effect of the size of the statue here. Other than that, everybody mentioned everything important, I'd say.
Yeah. Masha, anything about the sculpting?
Maybe a bit lower, more not subdivision, but more details to the sculpture would be great. Like I get it, it's a statue, and sometimes statues doesn't look really detailed or anything, but maybe just adding a bit more like details to the fingers and all the small things. Maybe make it more clear that here we have some eyes, like just a bit.
Wait, we have eyes there?
I think we should have some eyes here. These are eye spots. Maybe they're closed. And since it's not very clear, I would try to make it more obvious. Yeah.
I think the eyes are here and here, here and here. Something like this.
Are they?
I kind of feel they are.
Yeah, I was.
No, they are here. Just kidding.
Anyway,
it all sort of blends together a little bit on the statue.
Yeah. But I think that's just a minor thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I personally would maybe give a little bit different shape to this area of the ship, because it feels really like wasted space inside the ship, because it's like it's not okay for a human to be inside there, but it also looks very spacious, and I don't know, it would be better to make it like something more like this. I'm sorry, this looks awful. Maybe something like this.
A little bit shorter,
basically. You're losing the propeller detail when it's under the side.
I mean, better, but
this might be the only artwork.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
I would actually extend to the left a little bit. Instead of cropping.
Yeah,
it's just shifting everything over.
Losing the propeller, which is a shame.
Such a nice propeller there. All right, let's continue here with the next one. Let's zoom in here a bit, and this one is by Liam Marsh, or Marsh. And I guess I want to start with cropping here.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
Okay, I think in this one it actually works quite nice. We have this little creature here as highlight. We have like the light coming from the top. And Martin is starting already. And there's like so much. I'm not sure, but there's so much emptiness on both sides, which I'm not like entirely sure. It somehow fits to the image because we have like this fish peeking through the darkness, and it gives a little bit more feel that is like a really dark underwater scene here. But sometimes, it can help to crop the whole thing or make it like a vertical composition.
Yeah, I think making it vertical would help a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, this is just one little thing I would add here.
Yeah.
So, Grant.
Yeah, I really like this one. I like the story element to it, and it's heightened by the lighting. It's one of those rare cases where this really soft light that we see on the fish here, it works so well because it's coming out of that darkness, and it's sort of the discovery part of the story. And that impressed me. That did. Yes, it's got sort of the issues with the crop and things, but generally, I'm very impressed with this image and how it conveys that story. And this sort of little tiny creature is obviously using itself as bait, and then it's got this hook behind its back. Great idea, great fun. Good job.
Yeah. Martin.
I think only a little thing that bugs me are these tiny little hands here. Yeah, so this it looks the only part of the whole model that doesn't look right. Like it's unfinished when it comes to detail, and it's a little bit too barrelly, if it's even a word. But I don't like that part. Yeah, maybe. Maybe he ate too much spinach, but I would definitely improve these two parts here. Apart from that, I really like the model, and this fish here is just amazing. It looks really realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure if it would help to like make the ground a bit like darker or less visible.
No,
but I think this would be too much.
Yeah. By the way, about the hands of the creatures, usually the lizards, they have this kind of not clear shape of the hands. That so for me it makes just a bit sense, even if it looks a bit bad. But this is very similar to how lizards look.
Marsha is our lizard expert. She has sculpted a couple.
They usually have like longer fingers, but in general, the shape is really like
all right,
ugly.
Maybe it's like a subdivision modifier on top of that that's ruining it for me.
Maybe.
Not sure.
Yeah.
Can I just point out that this is he's got a little line. Every time I see this image, I see something else that I like about it. There's this little fishing line that's sort of going off to the right, which makes me think that he's grabbed, like someone else has gone fishing, obviously. Like he's gone over, grabbed the hook, and thought, I'm going to like attach it to this other fish.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. I like it.
Or he has a partner somewhere.
Yeah.
He's in cahoots with the humans.
A human.
It's a trained bait, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what's so cool about
I would like
it.
to point.
This is what's so cool about the story.
I would like to point out that there is one important part here. It's not in like bluish or greenish colors, and we still have the nice feeling that we are under the surface. So it's well conveyed via the small debris in the water, small particles, or maybe the mud out of the bottom. So this is a totally different color palette what we have seen so far, but it's very believable that we are under the surface. It's very nice.
Yeah. It so makes sense.
It's so simple, the image, but it's still fun to watch it on it, and you really enjoying the little story going on here, and just thinking about what else is going on in this little world here.
Yeah.
So fantastic job, but we have to hurry up a little bit. So let's go to the last highlight from the training arena, which is from, let me check, Porto. So, Grant, do you want to say anything here?
It's another great one, isn't it? I think it's possibly a touch busy in places, but they've managed to make it work, I think, as an image. Again, good composition, wonderful lighting coming from the top, which we've seen so often in this, but obviously makes sense when you're underwater. But the idea that it's coming from and through this hole in a cavern is a really nice idea. I like that, and it really focuses the eye, and it's got this sort of natural vignette of the rocks around here. So, oh, I've lost my screen. What happened there? So yeah, that works really nicely as well. We possibly don't need so much of it, but we could crop there. But I don't know. That's I might be being a bit harsh there. The only thing I didn't particularly like was the submarine, because it's difficult to make out. The shape doesn't quite work. It's tricky because the submarine is going into the image, so we're seeing the back of the submarine, but I feel like it could have just been tilted to the side so we could have made out the silhouette a bit more, because the silhouette is not very submarine-like, if that makes sense. So just a little bit of tweaking there so it's clearer what that was is the only thing, really, I think.
One thing this what I feel is a little bit tricky is the sizing of different objects somehow. It somehow feels hard to understand like how big or small this scene is, because when you look at different things like the sharks, why I have the color here, like the sharks are pretty small and the fish as well. So you imagine, okay, this is like a huge cave and everything. But then you see this giant seaweed stuff going on here. And then you think, okay, is this actually everything pretty small? Also, these shapes look pretty big compared to like the entrance here. And also this statue, you don't really know, is this like human size or is this bigger or smaller? So somehow it feels a bit hard. Like my brain is constantly fighting between like, this is a huge cave or this is a small cave. So, and having this submarine here in the front, it's pretty out of focus. And again, also from this like soft shapes, it feels again like a little toy. It can be a little toy, but you see this person inside. So you again thinking, okay, maybe this is like a real submarine. Yeah, this is like the biggest issue I have here with this image. Yeah. Daniel?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with the scaling issue. That was really kind of my only complaint with it, apart from it maybe being a little bit busy overall, but you know, that's already been said. But I just want to point out how nice the textures are on everything, pretty much, except perhaps the submarine. Just like the sand looks like sand, the rocks look like corally rock, like everything works really, really nicely. And then the lighting draws your eye to this point right here, which is exactly where it should be, which is fantastic. And I just think it works really, really well overall.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the only thing for me regarding the textures is that this like corals things, they look very much like they're smooth, but usually corals, they're like very rough and have many like small let me try to draw it, like small irregular like shapes on surface. It's not clear at all in this way, but I hope I explained myself. Yeah, this is only complaint I have about this image. Of course, I agree with you guys about the scale that is not really clear, but in general, I would like also to point out that this image developed on the community, and it was like the progress was really cool to watch at, and well done. Really, I like it so much. Great work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the top part.
Yeah.
Watch it all day.
So let's block it.
I love it so much that I don't want to see it.
This is such a cool part with the light and the little details on the. Actually, when I zoom in, there's not too much detail, but the lighting quality here is amazing.
Yeah.
What do you mean by lighting quality?
It's like it almost looks like the rocks are there is some subsurface scattering going on. I don't think it's the case, but the softness of the light and how it scatters over the little details and bumps, I just love it.
Just the bouncing of the light paths and stuff. It looks really nice.
Egon, anything to add?
No, I think it's a nice piece. A little crop would help, submarine issue, and that's it. It's mostly nitpicking. Otherwise, very nice image.
All right. Then let's go to the final 5 artworks. And I think we will go from like 5th to 1st. So we start with like the second honorable mention, which is this one here. Let me check the name. This is from Chantal Prentice.
Prentice. Yes.
Prentice. Yeah.
Apprentice.
At
All
least
right.
one of us told it. The good one.
This one has a natural vignette, which is pretty nice, I think.
Yeah.
So, Egon, you might want to start here because you were like talking about this specific artwork or these kind of artworks when we discussed the winners.
Yeah, I was kind of hesitant, but of course it has its own quality. There was a lot of submissions where we had some floating figure in some ancient ruins, which is of course the first thing what you will get into mind. What I have to say, even if I take this one alone, I would say, of course, it's a great idea. There's some story to it. I would definitely love to see more story because this is very dreamy, more like a painting picture, the rendering. And if it comes to the technical points, all is done well. We have nice composition. We have this natural vignette. We have not distracting background. We have a very nice light coming from the top, drawing our eye to the central composition. So we see right away what we want to see. This point is visible on the first spot. So that's all well executed. For me, I'm just lacking the story here. It's nicely done. I appreciate every single detail if it comes to the technical quality, but for me, I see the floating figure coming in the ruins, which is not like naturally bad, but I would expect more story, maybe some other figure floating or swimming from top down, like from this opening in the roof, or maybe there is something chasing this creature, this figure from the bottom, and she's trying to escape. That would definitely add even more drama or more dynamic to the story. But as I said, this is probably the personal taste, and what I appreciate is a color palette. We have only 2 colors. We have this beautiful work with color. We have the greenish tones for the ruins, which is totally natural for underwater background, and we have this nice skin tones, very subtle, still prominent. So all the technical things in this render that are done well. The only thing, and again, this is my personal opinion, it's more story would be appreciated.
Yeah, regarding the story, I actually got curious and read the description of this artwork, and it actually has some kind of story behind. Basically, it's something about a lady that has been forgotten there by someone, and she's trying to like escape this place. But I think this story was like there should be more details that could tell us this story, because at this point it's not clear who forget her there. It's not clear that like someone brought her there, or why she is wearing a dress or anything. It actually feels like an image without any kind of like deep story behind. And I think like thinking a bit more on the believability of the story and adding more details that could tell us this story would really help. And yeah.
Yeah, of course, you can always see art also in some abstract form. That this just should be some beautiful image to look at without
Yeah.
the story
Yeah, like-
piece.
Yeah.
Art
But-
gallery stuff.
Yeah, but the more you add story, the longer people are looking at the image and like
Yeah.
trying to imagine what's happening there. So, and for me, she doesn't really look as if she is escaping something. It's more like
Yeah.
she's enjoying swimming in the water.
Yeah,
So, yeah. I mean, technical, it's pretty perfect. It's
Yeah,
nothing
absolutely.
to say about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyone else, anything here, or continue?
No, I'm
I mean-
good.
Technically, everything is very nice. So I love that it's mostly greenish, not really bluish.
Yeah.
Apart from what you said with the story, this is a really great one.
It's actually
Yeah.
pretty nice that we can see the surface of the water up here, which we haven't seen that often.
Yeah, and by the way, this is a really great example of how a person could add really like a big amount of details to an image, and these details are not distracting at all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we can immediately see the focus of the image, and the details are just like making it better.
I think one point actually with the bubbles, I love the fact that they've just got this sort of misty sort of shape sort of down here,
Yeah.
because when you have really, really high density but tiny, tiny, weeny little bubbles, especially from this distance, it would just look like mist. And that's a really nice detail. Every other image I think I saw, they just had little individual bubbles like all these ones out here. But there was
Yeah.
never any just like teeny tiny like mist sort of feel to any of them. So that was really nice.
I think when
Sense
you're
of
like,
motion.
yeah, exactly. When you move a lot underwater, you get these little tiny bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So let's go to the honorable mention number 2. Whoa, this is big. Let's scale it down here a bit. This one is by Manuel Koepp. So honorable mention in the pro arena. And yeah, why have we picked this image? Martin.
Because it's freaking cool. That's why. Yeah, it's one of the most atmospheric pieces of this competition, for me at least. I love how it's mostly dark, but you can clearly see like the big creature emerging. But again, we during the judging process, we really wanted to crop it. So yeah, there's a lot of empty space on the left here. And personally, what I would love to see, instead of cropping it like this, I would love to push, if the author could push the monster to the left slightly, and to the left, and even maybe have some sort of like name here, maybe, or a fin. That could even improve the image. Otherwise, the details on the city are excellent. Maybe even pushing this ship to the left slightly would help, maybe, to the composition. And this ship here, maybe a little bit too dark, a little bit too blurred. So I'm not sure what to do with it. I think it fits the composition nicely, but maybe making it a little bit brighter would help. Also, there's a little bit of competition between this light here and this light here. Of course, this one is what's important, and this one is taking a little bit of attention from me. So I would maybe put another ship here instead. Yeah, thank you. So that solved it.
Okay, and done.
So yeah, composition could be improved, but everything else is awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see more of the creature.
Yeah, but that's the story, right?
Yeah, I know. In another shot.
We actually talked about the darkness in this image, because usually we see very dark renders where just everything is so dark that you can't see anything. And we debated if this image is too dark or not. But I think it's really part of the story to not see the creature immediately and that it's covered in darkness. And making the few adjustments Martin mentioned would probably help to like a little bit of fill in this empty space here on this side over here.
Yeah.
It's weird brush.
And it can really be just hints, just as there are hints here. It can be hints of something or tentacle.
Yeah. What I love is this little dust pieces down here. It looks really realistic. And also like detail technical wise, it looks awesome. Also the creature. What I found a little bit problematic, but not too dramatic, is that we have this big station here in the background with all these little lights. And then we also have these solid shapes here of the submarines in the foreground. They also have these lights. So they mix in a bit too much. This is why I actually find that the dark submarine in the foreground is not too bad, because in this way it's like having a bit more contrast and it's separating from the background here.
Yeah.
The only area where I think the station is sort of lacking detail is sort of here. This spot just here, I feel like looks really like just a little bit too simplistic. Like everywhere else, like especially up here, you've got these fantastic details all over the thing. But just here, like maybe just like something a bit more like, I don't know, something like that with some little scaffolding bits or something.
Yeah.
Just to, make it so it doesn't look quite so much like a primitive shape. But otherwise, yeah.
All right. Anything to add, Grant or Egon?
Yeah. Great job.
One minor thing with this, I feel like the artist has done a really amazing job making this wonderful space. Well, I'm going to say space station there, underwater station, and then felt like they had to include every single bit of that artwork because they'd spent so long on it. But in fact, the circular piece, which looks really cool, but if that was that wasn't in the image, I think the image would actually look better. And sometimes less is more with these things, even though this person has probably put loads of effort into this, but you don't have to include it all sometimes.
Yeah, by the way, we have a comment by the author that says that the image is too dark because he realized at some point that he had the computer brightness.
No, there is actually a second message. It's not the author.
Okay. Sorry.
I actually really like the darkness. I think it works really well for this.
Me too.
I do, actually, one thing. Let's see here what it is. I think if like it sort of doubling up on Grant's thing, I think if you sort of cut it, oh my god, that's so bright. I do apologize. If you cut it somewhere like that, like that image, I think like is a little bit more compelling for me, just because you're getting the stuff that you need for the story. You're still getting submarines, you're still getting the dark monster, you're still getting the sense that there's like a big space station.
Yeah, but in this way it feels a bit empty on the other side.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just maybe just
tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's continue here.
Yeah.
Place number 3. Oh my god, this is big. Let's this down. And this one is place number 3 by Eddie Šehić. I don't know how to pronounce this.
Šehić.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Egon, why is this the 3rd place?
Oh, this is very epic. This is epic scene, and even though there are 2 things, what you will imagine when you say underwater world, one can be the ruins, one can be the wrecks of the old ships. That's completely fine because it's something what you want to see. What I love here, it's the level of detail, natural frame of the image, palette, believedness of the scale, and incredible work on the color palette. Because we work here with the blue color for water. We have a brown stones for those rocks in the front, and we have the nice believable seabed here. And all it's drawn more that we have also some current flowing through the area. So you see the sails are torn apart, but still are flowing with the current. So we have some dynamics to the story. I really like that all works well. That once you start to look at the image, you see your eye goes like this naturally. Okay, bad color like always. We'll just quickly switch. And so we have this nice flow of lines everywhere. We have the mast, we have the light coming through this way. Everything is drawing attention to the wreck, and even the wreck is kind of like dark, and you would say maybe it's lost in the image. It's not. It's nicely shown with the contour in the water. This is very prominent. So you can recognize the ship right away. And all it's also nicely enclosed by foreground, so you don't have any need to look anywhere else. So the whole story, it works perfectly here. You go right to the point, and then you start, and you are searching for the details. And more you are searching for the details, more you will discover. It's not distracting. You still see everything. But anyway, there is a detail on everything. You see some corals on the wreck. You see nice corals on the front, on the rock. You see fish. But there's a lot of detail. But I have to say here, the detail is not distracting. So I really love this one.
Yeah, here again, we have like the clumping of details. So we have like more details here. Then here we have a more empty space. Then again, more details here and here. Less over here. So it's a really nice balance between all these high frequent details and lower detailed areas, which makes us in general more pleasing to look at, and it's not like distracting, just noise everywhere. Yeah.
I think the main thing this one's missing really is just that sort of story element, isn't it? Like it's got a little bit of story, a little in the fact that there is a sunken boat, so something's clearly happened to it. But outside of that, there's not really anything. But like technically and visually, it's amazing. And frankly, I would happily hang this in my house somewhere.
Yeah,
it's like fantastic. I was staring at this for quite a while. Yeah, very, very nice. And like every time you look at it, you see something else, like the little crab boy down in the bottom left. There's always something, and it's quite cool to see.
Yeah, looks really nice.
Maybe the ropes are a little bit too perfect here and too much intact. Might be cool to make them like float around a bit more, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would also maybe add some more details to the sails that look kind of, if you zoom in, they look a bit low poly. And maybe some of the fishes, they feel a bit big to me. The small ones, I mean, not the shark. And maybe I would make them a bit smaller. And yeah, that's it for me. Everything else is cool. Absolutely.
It looks like some sort of concept art from Assassin's Creed. I half expect some character diving there. Yeah.
Yeah, Uncharted. Yeah, maybe those are like minor things. Maybe the mask can be broken here, like falling down the upper part. But those are just minor things which will even add more to the realism. But otherwise, this piece is very detailed and it's well balanced, I would say.
Very cool, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's go to the second place, which is this one here.
Lovely.
Oh, this one
And
is
everybody's
so
heart
cute.
melted.
It's from
Yeah.
Caecilia-Isabella Glaas, if I
Yeah.
pronounce her name right.
Such
So,
a beautiful.
I think
What
you're getting
to
better
say?
at it.
Well,
Yeah,
some
practice.
names are easier. Okay, what
Stop
can we
throwing
say here?
curveballs at you.
Cute.
That
It's
is
cute
so
and beautiful.
Well, I mean, like it's just like straight away. There's that sort of element of the contrast, right? Because I mean, you've got this really nice. The sampling. You've got this really nice area of like brightness, and then like these sort of dark areas around it. So you immediately pick it out, and like especially with the eyes, you've got the bright spot and the dark spot, and it draws you immediately to that section. There's no missing it at all, and it's in the right. It's in a good spot compositionally, and it's really really nicely done. And because it's that stylized sort of look, like all the textures are really simplistic, but they all work really really quite nicely. And even down to just the quality of the shading on the pearls, like they look like really nicely done pearls, and you've got this sort of iridescent sort of look on the, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but like that dispersion of color and all sorts of things on the little squiddy boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just all really really nicely done. It's so clean, just yeah. And I love the story of him like hoarding all these little treasures. Yeah, it's nice. It's very pretty. I
Yeah.
like it.
Someone was mentioned that there's a little ring that Grant mentioned
yeah.
before.
Splice the ring in, Grant. You can do it.
I must have just been stealing it from this one that I saw already.
It's not red though.
I mean, I also love the like imperfections in these shapes here, which really like fits the style. Also, this little diamond thing here is not just like a perfect diamond, and has this little shapes here and there, which makes it just more interesting, even though they are so simple shapes in the end.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, do we even have to have like any critics on how to make it better?
No. It's
Oh,
perfect.
really?
I wonder how much is painted over, but it works very well.
I don't know
Yeah.
because from the work in progress image, it looks like it's all 3D, but I
Here you
can't
can see it.
like
Hmm.
the
It's-
textures over there.
Maybe a little bit of like lighting and glow and stuff. But I think most of the
by
work
the
was done
way-
in 3D.
This is not Blender.
It's not
Yes.
Blender.
Yeah,
Yeah, you see, we don't have so only Blender. This is the proof.
All right. Okay, it's like a perfect image. Looks awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
let's go to the last image for today. The stream is already long enough,
Bum, bum,
which
bum,
is
bum.
the first place
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Look at that.
by
Ah.
Sylvain Guerrero.
Sylvain?
Oh my god, I can't.
Guerrero.
Sylvain Guerrero.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
It's like everybody's talents lie somewhere.
All right. So, Daniel.
Oh,
Why?
Okay. All right. Well, first off, compositionally, this one's just fantastic. Like it draws right to where you need to be drawn to. Like this great big pipe and then you like secondary details like the divers, and even just the cables are done in a really interesting way, how it sort of flows around, and it's like so many of the cables and ropes and things that we've seen are just sort of these straight lines to where they need to be, and they clearly don't need to be. These ones are done in a really interesting and fun way. Like there's the only niggle I've seen is these little red leaves and things. They look a bit odd, like they've been painted over afterwards or something. But like that's the only tiny little niggle I have with it. It's done just really, really nicely overall. The lighting is really nice. The sense of atmosphere is really nice. I think it's like post processing. The little glow that you've got on like the highlights and things like that. I assume it's post processing. It might be glare or something that's put on in the compositor in Blender or wherever it's been done. But there's a little bit of glow on these little blue lights, which is sort of drawing you along that path. And then you've got the pings off the highlights, which are really nice. You've got all these details, but because they're kind of dark, it doesn't detract from the pipe, because the pipe is so high detail. It's that sense of high detail, medium detail, and then low detail out here that sort of draws you right to where you need to be. And texturing is really nice. Yeah, just everything's really, really nice. Chromatic aberration, I'm sure Martin will probably mention that. There's some of that on there too. Like around here in particular, you can see it really, really nicely.
Slightly, and it even improves the dynamic of the artwork, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be much. Like it doesn't have to. Like you don't need to add much of this sort of stuff. Subtlety is key, and it adds so much to an image. So,
and I think that like underwater world scenes, it's like the perfect case where you can use chromatic aberration, because usually it's often used too much in every artwork. But I think for underwater world, it just fits perfectly fine.
Yeah. Amazing.
A moment of appreciation.
Yeah. We could contemplate this image forever.
One thing again, here you can see like the fish swarm, and compared to what we've seen in other images where like the fish were just randomly swimming all over the place, this is how you should do it basically. Just
and they also have a bit of motion blur, which is nice. And someone in the comments mentioned the cables also seem to have a little bit of motion blur, particularly up the top here, over here.
Yeah.
So just little tiny weeny little attention to detail moments. Yeah.
I only have one criticism, little one, and it's this little guy down here. If he had the same, or not the same, but more rim light, maybe he would be more visible. Other than that, perfect.
Yeah.
And I love that the scene is actually like so simple. It's basically just this pipe and these two guys, but everything is just perfectly fitting together. And I love the color palette here, by the way.
Yeah, me too. The color palette is like my favorite.
Yeah, it's just
blues.
Yeah, perfectly fitting together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also very believable. Yeah, because once you imagine that the divers are going in an orange suit, so they will be easily identified in the depths, and the depth itself is dark, so it's all goes together. Like all colors, they are not just random colors to be nice, like complementary colors. They are just working well in the story.
Someone in the comments says, "Can we see the workflow image?"
Yeah, check.
I mean, the cables also give a nice sense of the underwater too. Oh god, that looks busy.
This is Blender.
It's Blender, and it's so much.
It's the bubbles. The bubbles are all done on cards, so that's a nice little workflow element for you. I like the fact that because the cables also do give the sense of the underwater too, because they've got that sense of weightlessness, which is something that's also lacking from a lot of images.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the flow of the cables, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We basically just enjoying this artwork, and thanks for submitting it. We had a good time looking at it and enjoying it. So approved. All right. So let's disable the screen here. Boop. And we are basically done. Just a little info. The next challenge starts on September 28th, so it's a few weeks ahead. But for the first time, this next challenge will be a little longer. So usually we have 3 weeks for each challenge. But due to personal organization stuff, the Blender conference is coming up and so on, we decided that we make it, I think, 5 weeks long. So when this arrives, you have a little bit more time, and I think this will be fun. You can go to cgboost.com/challenge. So let me quickly share this once again. So if you go to cgboost.com, up here under challenge, you can see when the next challenge is happening. And of course, when the time arrives, it will be here. And you can also find the link down below in the video description. And if you want to check all the winners once again and all the artworks, you can also find them here. Here we have the finalists. And if you click this button here, or in the training arena down here, there's also a button where you can check all the artworks from everyone. Yeah. Just to mention that. And
by the way, if you wanna see, like, get a notification when the new challenge starts, you can subscribe to the Google Calendar from CG Boost and to the mailing list, right?
Exactly. I think we add some links down below, and if not, I might add them as well. Yeah, maybe I will add the Google Calendar and the mailing list to the video description after the stream, so you can find it there as well. Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Grant for being here. I have to look in this direction.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for all the submissions. Well done to everybody who entered. That was fantastic stuff. Well done.
Yeah. And thanks, of course, CG Boost team for being here again, especially Daniel. It's pretty late right now in Australia.
Yeah, it's currently 4:52 a.m. So,
early.
Yep. So I'm gonna go to bed because I got work tomorrow.
Oh no!
Oh man. Okay, so let's.
I feel so sorry for you.
No, it's fine. I went to bed before it started, so it's a bit split, and then I've got a long weekend coming up, so I can recuperate. Then we're fine. I'm a man, right? Hero. Me.
So. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see us in the next live stream after the next challenge. It's probably in November, I guess. Yeah. So see you then. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. See you guys.
Bye.